Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Daniel Goddard, former model, renowned fitness expert, actor with over 30 years experience, and now he's as founder and CEO of the innovative AI networking app Disco. He's making a lot of difference. All this we'll be talking about. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Hey, my friend. Hey, Jaden. Lovely to talk to you, and thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form, Daniel. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. Learn from you about mastering personal branding and also about AI entrepreneurship. All this. But before this, let's understand a bit more about your background, your journey, so that the audience learns about who they are listening to.
Sure. I began as an actor. Actually, I went to business school in Sydney. I went to university. I studied economics and finance. I dropped out with 6 months to go to pursue an acting career. I ended up moving to, I did a soap opera in Australia. Then I moved to Los Angeles, where I ended up getting a job called Beastmaster, where I had a pet tiger, an eagle. It was kind of like a Hercules kind of show, like a Tarzan sort of show. From there, I moved into soap opera, where I did about 1,000 episodes of soap opera on a show called The Young and the Restless, which has been around since 1973. So, and I know in Bollywood, you have a very large sort of soap opera, sort of like, TV business. So in America, Young and the Restless is a very iconic show. It's been around, as I say, now 51 years. I was on that show almost 15 years. And then I basically decided when that came to an end, I moved into one of my passions, which is basically marketing, branding, and I've moved into AI entrepreneurship as well. So I took all my experience in my past with my degree and almost degree, and I moved it into a new side, a new career.
Right, Daniel. So why this leap means to this side of difficult things? If you look at it from someone
Yeah.
who is like after spending so many years, one would want to take it a bit easy rather than going the difficult path. You talked about your education in business in terms of economics and all, but then
Right.
that was quite some years back, and one would want to once you are getting into a particular, you don't want to take those unnecessary trouble. Why did you do that? and
Yeah.
and and knowing that the transition may be difficult, help us understand your mindset and motivation at that point in time.
You know what? It's a great question, and I've had a lot of self-reflection in the last couple of years. It's not the sort of thing that most people want to do at that point in their life where they've built an entire career doing one thing. You get good at it, you make a good living at it. I'm a believer in timing, and almost like cosmic timing, in a sense where there's an ebb and flow of the way the world works, and we're here on this planet, but we can't control everything. You think you can control the way outcomes are, the way things will turn out, but you can't. And eventually you just have to, the expression, just go with the flow. And I think for me, I think that when I was an actor, I never felt like I had a lot of control. As an actor, you're told what to say, where to go, what to wear. Everything is you're controlled. And there's a part of me that has always wanted and loved the entrepreneurial side of life. When I was acting for as long as I learned how to build a brand. I learned the art of building a brand. You have to understand that building a brand is building trust. The great brands on this planet have the trust of their consumers. And when you break that trust, we're seeing it now in the US a lot, like Kellogg's, which is a very large food company, is being sort of dragged through the mud because they're finding out in the US they have all these chemicals in their food, but in Canada and England and Australia, they don't have the chemicals. So their brand has been tarnished by that. So what I discovered was how to build a brand. And then when life decided to take me in a separate direction, I resisted for a while. Why is it changing? Why is my life changing right now? And I realized because it was time. And when that time comes and you have to face it, accept it, and then you realize it just opens up and it's where you're meant to be. So I'm where I'm meant to be right now, I believe.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, how did you look at the challenges? There must be challenges in this
A lot of challenges.
transition.
Yeah.
How? Yes, I want to understand the transition part and how did you manage those challenges? What challenges did you face when you
Well,
were going to start up?
it's a great question. The first challenge, or the biggest challenge I had, was the one where people, when it came to business, would look at me like I'm just an actor. You're just an actor. You're a soap opera actor. What do you know? What would you know? And it took a lot of convincing, a lot of conversation with people to say, that's maybe what you think, but there's more to the story. And even then, there's a lot of people, a lot of jobs I couldn't get, a lot of brands I couldn't work or I couldn't close as clients because they wouldn't see. I started doing social media marketing back in 1999, back when it was like message rooms and chat rooms on websites. Like when I did Beastmaster, there was no Facebook, there was no Twitter, there was no social media. So you have to build a website and then you have to have a chat room. And that's how you get your first fans to communicate with you. But before that, it was fan mail. You'd have to write mail. So I always considered myself to be understanding of the way it was, the way it's changing, the way it's growing, and where it's going, which leads to the AI entrepreneurship. So I've always had the faith in myself. And I think the hardest part, or the question, is how do you keep going when no one wants to give you a chance? When no one wants to say, I believe in you, I'll give you that chance. What do you do? What motivates you? And you know what my solution, or my understanding of that is that if you look at the seasons, we were talking about the weather before we just started, you learn, if you're a farmer or you're into gardening, and I love to garden, I love to grow things. You learn that you can't plant seeds in the autumn and winter. There's a timing for everything. And I think the sooner you, as an entrepreneurial sort of person and an entrepreneurial spirit, an entrepreneur, you understand that there's a flow and a timing to things, and you can come to accept that, then it makes it easier. And then you start to realize, like I've launched a couple of brands. For example, we launched, it was called My Pimple Cream. So it was mypimplecream.com was a brand we launched. And when do you launch a pimple cream? You don't launch it in winter. Because in winter, it's colder, the oil production goes down, the skin's cooler, you don't break out as much, right? So you want to launch it more spring, coming into summer where people are going out, the skin's different. We launched another one called backpackbuffet.com, where it sells 700 different backpacks from different genres, different things. When do people want to buy backpacks? Going back to school. So if someone would come to me and say, hey, we want to launch this brand, this product, what do we do? The first thing is, how do you slot into the flow of time and environment and culture to fit into that? And once you understand that and you start to get some traction, people start to notice, and then more avenues open up, and then people start to trust you. But in the beginning, it's very, very difficult. It's difficult, as you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to understand, when you are an actor, when you are into that line, other brands come to you, they want to be associated with you, and then you become the face of that product or service, and that helps them sell your thing. So personally, the work you do, that creates your personal brand.
Right.
But when you look at creating your own business,
Yes.
how was it? Because here you have to build not about yourself, but talk about the services and products that you are offering. And perhaps at that situation, you may not come in as a model there.
Right.
You would rather create the best points of those products. So how did you work that out? Because earlier on, your branding was coming out of the work you do. Here, you cannot use that. It is like going with a handicap. And here you are building something which is not you.
Yes.
but yours. And it is a separate thing altogether.
It's absolutely spot on, and you can tell from what you're saying is that you grasp this completely. You have such an understanding of this, because here's how it works though, is that no matter what you're selling, whether it's your branding, you're selling something. So for example, I had a watch brand that I worked with a couple of years ago, and we went on the Home Shopping channel, and they wanted me to be the face of the brand. And so I went and saw the product. I loved the product. They were made in Switzerland, great brand, affordable. They weren't overly priced. They weren't cheap. They were good material, liked the brand. So I went to the Home Shopping channel, and there was I got to pick about 20 watches that we would sell from the line. And what was interesting is that I'm watching, and I've never been on this Home Shopping channel before. At the very front, there's a number, which is how many you're selling. You see what your sales are like. So what ends up happening is you get to this point. I'm going to block that light for you. You get to this point where you can start to hear what you're saying and seeing the outcome of what you're saying, how people respond to it. And you would start to realize, like, I could sit there and say, for example, like this watch I'm wearing now, I'd say this watch, it's stainless steel, it's waterproof to 200 meters, it's this brand, it's that brand. No one cares. When I said, all of a sudden, I told a true story, and I noticed this, and it was like a light bulb moment for me. I said, so this next watch here, let me tell you about this watch. So I said to my mom, hey mom, like, I'm going to do this thing on the Home Shopping channel, and I'm going to sell watches. And she goes, you just sell watches? I said, but mom, they're really, really good. I said, check them out. And I showed my mom, and she saw this watch, and she grabbed it and goes, I want that watch. I love this watch. I said, well, you can have it after the show, but I can't give it to you now. I need it for the show. And all of a sudden, tick, 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 sales, because I personalized the experience. I made it personable. I made it relatable, because everyone's got a mom. Everyone's got a mom who's liked something. Then all of a sudden people go, well, if his mom likes it, maybe my mom will like it. So next thing you know is they're buying it for their mom. And I saw this number start selling, and then boom, I got told my earpiece, we've sold out. Then I realized, and this is where it gets complicated, you can't repeat the same thing over and over and over. Because if you do the same thing over and over, the next one is, oh, this is one my brother saw. My brother said he loves this one. And my uncle saw this one. Because you look like you're not telling the truth. So it's about finding relatable moments with what you're selling to the people you're selling it to. But the number one thing is you have to be selling quality. If you're selling some rubbish, whether it's a get rich quick course, like if you do these 5 things, you'll be rich by the end of the year, or, do this workout and you'll be built like Arnold Schwarzenegger within like 6 months. No one believes you. You might get a couple of sales. I also did door-to-door sales. And let me tell you, the first thing I ever sold in my life was satellite TV. I was in Australia. I was 24 years old, and I did door-to-door sales. And I'd never done it before. And you walk up to a house, you knock on the door opens, and someone's just standing there. And you got 10 seconds. And if you can't get that person in 10 seconds, the sale's not going to happen. And you learn very quickly, the moment the door opens, who is the person I'm standing in front of? They're dressed in a football jersey. They're wearing a cricket jersey. They're wearing Sunil Gavaskar's like jersey, whatever it is. You see something in the background on the wall. They got a cricket bat. And you go straight away. They love cricket. They love Indian cricket. Can I watch Indian cricket in Australia? Easily. No, I can't. Do we have cricket on the platform that I'm selling? Yes, we do. So the only thing I sell to that person is cricket. And once you do that, you make it relatable, but you don't go straight to the sale. It's like, you see the jersey. Oh my God, I love Sunil. He's one of my favorite players. I love Sunil Gavaskar. I remember when he played this game against Greg Chappell back in 1986, blah, blah, blah. You're chatting. Say, by the way, when's the last time you saw him play? Oh, I can't see him play. Why can't you see him play? Well, they don't play his games here when they're off season. That's funny. We actually have his games, right? You make it personal. You make it relatable. Because otherwise, what happens is all they want to do is have you leave. And the other thing I noticed is that Ironically, the other team I would compete against was an Indian team. It was an Indian guy, and he had a group of people who worked there, all Indians, and my guys were me and all Australians. And what was interesting is I got pulled into like the office for the thing. They said, we want you to meet Bhupinder, and he's going to talk to you. His sales are so much better than yours. I'm like, really? How much is he selling? And they're like, he's closing, 8 out of 10. I'm like, he's closing 8 out of 10? How? And here's what Bhupinder did. Bhupinder would get to the door, and they showed me his technique. I couldn't believe it. They go, okay, so he walks to the door, and he would say, hello, what's your name? And they'd say, like, Wendy. He'd write Wendy down. Wendy, what's your last name? Smith. Write Smith down. And then he would start filling out the form while he's talking to them. And when he was finished, he'd say, sign here. They'd sign here. And he'd be like, anyway, here's your TV, da-da-da-da-da-da. And he would leave. But all the sales started falling through because when the husband came home, he's like, what did you do? Why did you buy this? What are you doing? My sales never fell through because I would sell knowing that the husband loves cricket or the husband loves rugby or they both love watching, ballet, and they've got like ballet from the Bolshoi Ballet. And then my sales weren't falling through. So the number one thing is always find that personal thing and offer something that will make the other person's life better. So long story short, bringing it all the way back to your question, it is such a difficult transition. But if you understand basic human nature and you understand what people want, which is to feel good, to feel listened to feel valued, and to be offered something that will make their life better, you're 99% towards closing the sale. And it's that simple.
Absolutely. So how did you tell us a bit about Disco? What is this about?
Yeah.
And then how did you work on this? And if I understand, you have got another thing also, which you
Underthein.com. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Underthein.com is my marketing company. UNDERTHEIN.com. Under the In, short for Under the Influence. Underthein.com. We launch brands. We do email marketing. But the number one thing we do with Under the In is we create brands from scratch. Someone might say, I've always wanted to have a skincare brand. I would love something that could maybe be for like anti-aging. And my motto when it comes to creating a brand is to always keep it very simple in the beginning. You don't want to launch 6 things, 5 things, 4 things, 3 things, because it's too confusing for a consumer. The consumer can't track what they're meant to be buying, and they don't have the credibility of the brand yet. So you want one thing. So we just launched a brand called Time Machine Cream. You hear Time Machine Cream. What does it do? Well, obviously it has something to do with a cream that has something to do with going back in time. So maybe it'll make me look younger. It's already in the name, Time Machine Cream. Easy to remember. You always want to get a .com. I know in India you'll have what is it? It's .in.
.in. We have
so you would want, but .in would be more valuable in India than a .com, or does .com carry value for international?
Everyone thinks their own way, because traditionally you will think of .com, because even though you'll be based in India, you might be thinking of selling it globally. Exactly. And because online.
Exactly. So, and that's the thing now with drop shipping products, there are so many products you can get that can be drop shipped and white gloved and white labeled, and it costs no money. If you can build a website, in a lot of websites now on Shopify, for example, it is very plug and play. I'm not a fan of Shopify because I think it looks basic. And I think when you come across a website that looks basic, you don't trust the brand as much. But anyway, long story, we launched Time Machine Cream, one product. It does one thing, and it basically is an anti-aging cream. It's doing very well. And I wouldn't even think about bringing in another product until Time Machine Cream has done what it does, and then you release the new one. So understanding how to launch a product that resonates with the consumer, it has to solve a pain point, which is what Disco does. Disco is an AI technology that is an application, and we're rebuilding our 3rd version of the app that is going to get launched about mid-January. I'd love to come back on and show you what this product does. Disco is a world-first technology that allows you to place yourself anywhere in the world like a billboard. And you use tags, hashtags that define you. So when you sign up, you choose all the hashtags that define you. You have social hashtags and you have work hashtags. Once you choose those hashtags, you can be anywhere in the world. You can place yourself anywhere. So let's say there's a convention, a tech convention that you want to go to, but you can't get to because let's say it's in Las Vegas. You would have Disco. You would enter in the location, Las Vegas Convention Center. It will take you and place you physically in the GPS location of the Las Vegas Convention Center. And then you would place your profile there specifically designed for what the convention is. Let's say it's a tech convention. You'd use all the hashtags to define you and what you're into and what you want to do at that convention. And then you would go about your day in Delhi doing whatever you want to do. As people enter the convention, either in real people or other people from around the world also drop into that convention, our algorithm and the AI will match you based upon what you have in common, notify you that you've matched someone, say, with 10 tags in common. And then we have our AI will begin a conversation between you and that person using the things that you have in common to break the ice so you can get straight to deal flow. So if you're there because you want to sell a product, you'll find the people who are looking for that product, create the conversation so you can start to create deal flow with those people, but you don't have to go to the convention, nor do you have to sit there on your phone while it's happening. You can go about and play with your kids, watch cricket, do whatever you want, and then your phone will let you know, I've just created this new contact. We're now talking to each other. And then you'll be able to say, oh, I can now call them or message them or get how you want to get straight to closing deals. So it's about matching people that are meaningful, that want to create deal flow and getting to that deal flow point. So that's what Disco does. And what's interesting about AI technology is that it works in everything. So the same use case I gave you, let's say, for example, you had a son and he was going to go to, he had two college universities he can go to. You go to the University of Delhi or the University of Pune, I'll say, right? You don't know which one you want to go to. He could take his Disco profile, place one at the University of Delhi, one at the University of Pune, and then it would start to meet and match other kids going to that college and start creating friends and then conversations with them. And he could say, Dad, they're both great schools, but at Pune, I've met all these super cool kids. They're into the same hobbies as me. We have the same things in common. We've already got study groups we've set up. That's where I want to go. So it allows you to streamline the way you meet, match, and connect with people so that it's meaningful from the beginning. And you don't have to sit there and have conversations till you go, oh, we have nothing in common. Why am I talking to this person? And then you go on to the next person. That's what Disco does.
Wonderful, wonderful. So it's anyone can access it globally.
Anyone globally. It's Android and iOS. It'll be in the App Store. The website right now is disco, dysko.co. When we relaunch, it'll be a .ai website and it'll be Android. So, and one of the things when we launched our first version, we didn't have it on Android, and we were looking very much at India. And, you know, we actually built the very first version in Pune. That's how I know the city. I built it with Indian engineers. And then, so basically, we very much want to be able to offer this technology to India because it's very heavily Android based, while the US is heavily iOS based. So when you're dealing with 80% of the American market is iOS, and almost it's the other way around, and to a greater extent, it's more Android in India. We wanted to have both available. So we will have both available. But literally, it will allow anyone. You know what's funny? Because people, when we talk to kids, we focus group with a lot of kids about this, teenagers. And we said, how would you use it? And one girl said, so basically, you're telling me that I can be sitting here on the campus where I'm at right now? And we said, yes. And they said, so there's the libraries over there. I said, sure. And she said, so that would let me know who's in the library now, because on the map, we use Google's API map interface with the profiles appearing on it. I'd know who's in the library. And I said, yes. She goes, so if my ex-boyfriend was in the library, I'd know not to go there. I said, that's exactly what you can use it for. And she goes, I love it. So what's funny is that everybody, going back to the branding thing, everybody has their own way that they would use a piece of technology. A businessman would use it to meet people at conventions. A college kid might use it to be able to go find out what college they want to go to. A girl might use it to say, I don't want to go to that nightclub because my ex-boyfriend is there. So the technology has many pain points that it solves. And that's what you need to do when you create something. You have to make it broad enough that everyone can use it. You can't be micro, you can't be specific, because you're going to have too small a market share. You won't be able to make revenue from it, and you'll go out of business because you have to make money. So it's interesting when you start looking at when I want to launch a brand and I want to use AI, because AI now does so much. We have another brand when we're launching. It's another AI brand. It's petdepot.ai. And basically you can take a photo of your pet. It'll look at your pet. It'll know what it is, what breed it is, how old it is. And then it'll go through all of the pet stores that have all the food or the supplements just right for your animal, and then offer you the best prices for it. And you couldn't do this before there was AI. You couldn't do it because the algorithms you'd have to build, you couldn't keep up, because every time a pet store changed their inventory, or you wouldn't be able to scan the dog or the cat, you wouldn't be able to do this stuff. But now you can do this because of AI. So AI is extraordinary when it comes to helping people streamline the way that they want to consume objects and also interact with people.
Absolutely. There is much to learn about all these things, especially, all these new technologies coming in.
There's a lot.
I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn more about you, from you, about the companies that you have created. What is the best way for them to do so?
Thank you. The best thing would be go to underthein.com. That's UNDERTHEIN, Under the In, short for Under the Influence. And on underthein.com, you can have a look at our work. You can see the brands we've launched. You can see websites we've built. You can see what we do, but also there's a contact page. And you click contact and it'll reach out. We'll get an email and we can talk, because there's a great opportunity out there nowadays with branding that, all you need is just the right product, packaged the right way, presented the right way at the right time. And I can say one thing. I have a lot of clients that spend a lot of money on marketing and advertising, particularly a lot of money on Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Google ads. And you can't sell something that nobody wants or something that there's no space in the market for. So the number one thing is be unemotional about it and say, why do I want to sell this product? And if I do, how many competitors are right now in the market I have to compete with? Because the other thing is SEO. You look at SEO. I know some people, somebody said they wanted to brand something and they told me the name for it. And I said, well, you do realize that name is already out there and it's a different brand. And they said, but they're doing something different to us. I said, that's not the point. The point is they've got the SEO space on lock. They've got Google and their search engine optimization. They've got Bing. They've got every single way that you look for what you're trying to sell locked down. So no one's ever going to find you. So your chance of selling anything organically is zero. So then you're going to have to throw so much money at advertising, but then everyone's going to see it and go, oh, the first thing I think about is that other brand. So now I've got to disassociate myself with that other brand. And the reason this person couldn't let it go, it was their initials. It was their initials of their name, and then they had a word after it, and they wanted to, because they were meant to be like giving people advice. I said, but what it does, I get why to you it makes sense. I get it. But no one is going to find you. You will never be found. And they didn't understand it. They didn't hire me for it. And I'm glad they didn't hire me for it, because they thought I was saying, oh, it's not going to work. So they're going to do it. They're either going to do it with or without me. Okay. But what ends up happening is they're going to learn that there is a wall, like a castle wall. SEO is a castle wall, and it does not want you inside it. And to get inside it, you've got to play the game. You've got to be different. You have to use correct SEO. You have to understand exactly what you're trying to get out there, the right keywords, the right meta descriptions, the right everything. And it has to be different to everything else. Otherwise, you'll never be found. And then once you've done that, if you can start to get some organic sales or organic website traction, you've got something that people like organically. Now start putting money into advertising. But if you just start throwing money into something in the beginning, most times you'll just lose your money.
Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, AJ. It was a pleasure. Thank you, everybody.